So we just had a major storm. You can see the rainbow. It's one of the brightest I've ever seen. Took a bunch of limbs off our trees. You can see them laying over here by the cornfield. Looks like they just missed my brother's car. I don't know if the storm's over completely yet. They just said a tree went down on our trailer out at the market, so I'm gonna go check that out pretty soon here. You can see that the storm looks like it's moving that way. Mom's on the phone right now with the girls at the market. I guess it hit pretty bad. These are big limbs over here. I mean, this one's huge. If it would hit my brother's car, probably would have broke the windshield at least. I mean, that's 3-4 inches in diameter. Oh my gosh, it's like a river out here. These poor strawberries. Wow. Well, luckily they're on raised beds, and hopefully the water, you know, isn't gonna saturate them and kill them too bad. I think they'll be okay as long as it gets out of here pretty quick. So like I figured, it laid down some of our sweet corn. Not too bad here. Where the stand was worse, the corn's gonna be worse because it didn't have the other corn to brace it up. But luckily it's pretty good here, so it's all standing for the most part. Just water laying everywhere. I mean, we got probably 2 inches of rain in a half hour. This is about 2 inches deep. And I didn't even get down to the farm yet. Hope everything's okay down there. It's like a lake out here in front of my driveway. So this is our field right here of pumpkins. They're up about probably a foot. They're all flipped over, but I think they'll be just fine. The neighbor's tree blew almost right into our field, and that's a big tree. Holy cow. We just got out here to the farm market. Nothing seems to be too bad out here, except for obviously the tree that fell on our trailer. Luckily nobody lives here at the moment, but it's a pretty big tree to have fallen right on the middle of the house or trailer, whatever you want to call it. The zinnias look okay for the most part. The wind definitely laid them down, but I think they'll come back, you know, once we get some sunshine and they get to relax a little bit. Clearly the wind was blowing this way. Well, I don't know, they're laying over pretty hard, but they're strong. They'll come back, I know they will. Flowers are beautiful. It's a shame a lot of broken ones, like this here. Are they broken over there? Well, we'll see what happens. That's a shame. That broke off pretty good. That broke off. Well, maybe it's worse than I thought. I just met Dad out here. He actually just left. And I guess the peppers and tomatoes did get hit pretty hard. It doesn't look like much now, but he said every single one that's obviously open, you know, to the open air is dinged and marked. Like this one has one cut, and then there's little spots all over where the hail hit. I'm not gonna go riding around all over Creation tonight, but it looks like anything down under is okay, but like I can even see this top one has a slice in it. But like that red tomato in there looks to be okay. Yeah, that looks perfect. So we're definitely gonna have some loss, that's for sure. Like I said, I can't wait to go check out the peppers and everything else tomorrow. But yeah, like, it doesn't look bad now, but by 2 or 3 days, you might notice a lot. So we'll see what happens. Since the strawberry field is so close, I wanted to come back out here and check them again, just because I know hail will puncture leaves and I don't want them to be too ruined. And that's what I'm gonna check out. I do see some laying over. They don't look the greatest, but I don't think it's gonna kill them. They're very tough. So you can see how that leaf is shredded and that leaf is shredded. This one's okay. Or actually, no, it's not. Oh boy. Well, only time's gonna tell. Like I said, I don't think that was enough to kill him off, but it definitely injured him. Broke that one in several places, put holes all over the leaves, and that's just kind of the pattern throughout the whole field here, I'm gonna guess. When I was real little, thunderstorms, tornadoes, hail, all that stuff really scared me. Like, I was terrified when I even heard it was coming. Now I don't get nervous or scared. It's just, you know, depressing because there's nothing you can do about it. That's just Mother Nature, that's what's gonna happen. And just like everything else, we gotta just roll with it and hope for the best. And that's all we're gonna do now this time. So I think the best time is gonna be in 3-4 days to come back out here and really see how things are looking, because right now everything's just kind of in shock and you're not gonna really see the worst of it till tomorrow or even the next day after that. So it's the next day. I'm gonna do a walk through the cornfield here, go out to the peppers, and we're gonna look at all the damages. So you can see here all the holes in the leaves, just like the strawberries. They got shredded, but I don't really think that's going to affect the crop at all. I think that's gonna be just fine. Now, it did lay quite a few of the stalks down, or at least lean them sideways. But again, that's not really gonna hurt anything, I don't think, as of right now. You can see them all laying down there. And that's just kind of the same thing out through the field here. This is our next patch of corn. You can see it's actually not that far off. This one might even be ready, holy cow. Not far off at all. I'd eat that. Hard to see, there you go. But as you can see, it's a good example. The corn isn't damaged at all. It's just the shell that probably took a little bit of damage, and that's no big deal. This is the only strawberry field besides our new patch, which is on the other side of the cornfield, that's still going. Like I showed you before, we're lifting up the plastic in the other field. I mowed these off already, but they're already really coming back. And just like the other ones, the leaves are shredded a little bit. See some leaves here on the ground, but maybe it is from the hail, I don't know. Yeah, it's from the hail and just the wind in general. Now the leaves on these are shredded a little bit, not so bad. I'm trying to see some of the peppers. There's a little bit, like this pepper's obviously not ready, but there's a little bit of damage here. You can see on the stem, got hit about 2 or 3 times, and there's a dark spot here and there. But not too bad, not too bad at all. If that's as bad as it gets, we'll be just fine. Here's some more exposed peppers. This one's bad in general. You can see the spot on the bottom there. Yeah, there's a couple little spots there that were nicked up. That plant got hit pretty hard. The peppers are really starting to show it now. It didn't actually go through the pepper, it just made a spot on the outside. It might still be sellable even with that mark on it, as long as it doesn't start rotting it. I don't think it will. Only time's gonna tell. But if we have to take them to market and sell them for a little bit cheaper, just some of these bigger ones that, you know, are already ready for sale, I think we'll just deal with that, and I think the customers are gonna completely understand. And if every pepper on every plant is like that, well, that's our only choice until those smaller ones that weren't injured grow and they're ready for sale. Out here in the field, it just kind of looks like the same thing. No better, no worse. A lot of peppers out here though. I haven't actually been out to pick peppers but like one time I think so far this year, and that was only to pick the Hungarian hot wax. It has to be close to somewhere around 10 years ago now, we had a really bad hailstorm. Like the hail was, I don't know, maybe about 1 inch, a little bigger in size. And it wasn't just like a round ball, it was like really spiky. And it was devastating to not only our farm, but some of the neighbors' farms. Like I'm talking whole cornfields were just laid right down. Tomatoes and peppers had holes straight into them. Almost everything was completely ruined. We had to, at that point, start going to auctions and other local farms to pick or buy veggies because we had nothing for ourselves. And that's when it's really bad because, you know, we put all this time, all this work, all this money into all these veggies, and it's all just gone within an hour. And so we're really grateful that that didn't seem to happen near as bad this time as back then, but we're just getting a little bit of a taste of it. Now I think this is our final patch of sweet corn. I don't know exactly how many acres it is, but it's quite a bit. And this took it pretty hard just because it's young, but I'm pretty sure that because it's young, it's gonna stand back up again and hopefully turn out like it should. This is a lot more tender though, and you can see how much more it got affected by that hail. And another funny thing is that we could have had hail, even though it's not that far away, a lot worse here than we did back at my house, which is, you know, 500 or 600 yards. It all just depends on location. But yeah, this is pretty shredded, and it's laying at greater than a 45-degree angle, most of it. But like I said, I think with the sun that's coming out today and this nice weather, it's gonna hopefully stand back up for the most part. I would say probably the two things that get affected most by hail are pumpkins and watermelon. Tomatoes, you know, they're kind of hidden underneath leaves and underneath weeds of some sort, and it kind of protects them. But pumpkins and watermelon have very thin leaves. A lot of them are already exposed, and if they're mature enough and they get hit by that hail, they're not really gonna come back at all. You're gonna see little marks all over it. They're gonna be bright. They're gonna be like a brown scab, and they're not gonna be near as pretty as what they were, which really affects sales. And I don't know if I'm gonna get down to the pumpkins today, but I know I'm gonna get here to the watermelon in a couple minutes. We'll check them out. Cantaloupe have a little bit tougher skin, so I'm not as worried about them. Here's our soybeans. You can see the holes in the leaves. We got these planted pretty late, but we're pretty sure they're gonna make it. Dad's just gotta go through now and spray the weeds in them, which he's hopefully gonna do in the next couple days if we don't get any more rain. Out here is our cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, the late season. Every hole you see is from that hail. That one got hit pretty hard. Now right here is our second to last patch of sweet corn. And it's sad to say, I think this took it harder than any of it. Not exactly from the hail, but from the wind. They all should be standing, and these are all laying just about flat. This is what most of them look like. It actually just about ripped that whole stalk out of the ground. It's only held in by a couple roots. This, if it makes it, if it grows, it's gonna be an absolute nightmare to pick, because it's all laying not only on the ground, but on top of each other. So we'll have to pick stalks up just to find more sweet corn underneath of it. That's not gonna be fun. I'm just praying that we get the sweet corn out of it. It didn't even start making ears yet. Over here, if you've watched my past couple videos, you'll know that I planted dill. This is just starting to come up. You can see the little tiny green like spikes coming up. Looks like it's actually coming up pretty good. Not 100% sure if that's gonna make it because I planted it really late, but I am gonna fertilize it, probably with like a sprinkling can, just because, well, I really wanted to make it. All right, so here is the moment I've been waiting for. The watermelon. I'm nervous, I'm really nervous. The hail wasn't real big, it just came down obviously very hard, and a lot of it came down in a very short amount of time. We did have very good foliage coverage on these. You can see how leafy they are. Now that is from a crow. That mark right there is from a crow. Trying to find a good one. I might just barely be able to see a little blemish, but honestly, I don't think these are going to be affected at all from what I'm seeing. Now this one right here, this is a yellow seedless, is pretty exposed. Let me get close to it. And honestly, I don't see anything. Definitely not enough to make it scar. Oh, I do see one tiny, I don't know if you can even see that little mark there, but that ain't nothing. So that's good. That's a big relief. Obviously, something like the potatoes that's in the ground aren't affected at all. They're almost done growing anyway, so even if it would have affected the tops, it's not that big of a deal. And the onions, for the most part, you know how an onion grows, 3/4 of it is covered. And so, again, I'm not really that nervous about them. I don't know how the tops look, but at least most of them are up to size at this point, so that's not a huge loss either if they got damaged. Really washed some good ruts at the end of this cantaloupe and watermelon patch though. My goodness. We're going on like a foot deep. Every single storm, it just keeps washing deeper and deeper and deeper. Here's the pickles and zucchini. The hail might not have hit quite as hard down here. I definitely see some cuts in the leaves, that's for sure. But I think they're gonna be okay. I was thinking that maybe the zucchini were gonna be all flipped over, broken, but honestly, they're not that bad. So that's a real big plus. It's a monster zucchini. Somebody must have missed last time. That one's about perfect size. I do see a couple nicks, especially like that there and that there. But not so bad. And a lot of them were pretty small. And zucchini grows so fast that honestly, after 2 pickings, anything that was hurt in any way is probably gonna be off and the new growth is gonna be starting, which wasn't hurt at all. Over here's the broccoli. Well, old broccoli. We're still picking some shoots off of it. You've seen in my last video. But again, these leaves aren't near as tender as what I showed you up above. And so I think they took it a lot better. We've picked all the broccoli at least probably 2 or 3 times over. We've got most of the cabbage harvested out of this patch, which we're still picking. And then we'll move on to the lower field. I see a purple head, but I think it's bad. It's probably why we haven't been picking it. Yeah. So honestly, from what I'm seeing so far as wind goes, the corn took it the hardest. As far as hail goes, I would say probably the peppers and the little strawberries and that young cabbage took it the hardest. So that's what I'm gonna call it a wrap for this video. As always, thank you guys for watching, and always remember, it ain't much, but it's honest work.